everybody, Merry Christmas! Welcome to Simple Art for Adults. My name's Erin, and like promised, I told you guys I would have a video up for you today. For those of you who did have time and who wanted to watch a video and go ahead and start the color along. So we are going to go ahead and get started with that today. Our current color along is going to run, we're going to try to get it finished in 1 month. And we are going to be doing it in Romantic Country, the Third Tale. The picture that you guys chose collectively from this book was this one. That reminds me a lot of like a cruise ship cabin, but like toned down, like more rustic. So what I did is I actually went looking at cruise ship cameras and things of that nature, cruise ship cabins, just to see kind of what they look like and whatnot. So I've chosen some colors to get us started, and this time we're going to be using the full 150 Prismacolor Premier set to do this color along. If you guys don't have some of the colors that you see me use, feel free to substitute. You can use a different brand of pencil, you can use a different color in whatever, however big your set is, whatever you guys want to do. It is a color along, and I'm kind of going to show you the techniques, and I'll tell you what colors I'm using. But I need you to remember that you absolutely don't have to do exactly as I do. If you want to, you can, but it's not a requirement by any stretch of the word. So like I said, if I use colors that you guys don't have, don't feel like you have to run out and buy the pencils. Just choose different colors or something similar or whatever colors that you guys want to use. So to get started, what I've decided to do is we are going to do the background first. And I know a lot of you guys have a lot of questions about how to do backgrounds and such. For this, I wanted it to be neutral, so we're going to do the background and the floor both in kind of the neutral colors. So I've chosen Seashell Pink is going to be our main color, and then I have Beige Sienna, which is going to be kind of our highlight color. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with those, and if you look really closely at this picture before I start zooming in on it, we've got a wall here, we've got a wall here, and then we have like this corner line, which I think I'm going to make a little bit darker just to show dimension. And then down here we've got kind of like a baseboard thing happening. And then of course the floor. So I'm going to try to make everything stand out so that we can tell what's what and it actually looks like a three-dimensional room. So the only trouble with this is that in this book the pages go all the way to the very edge. So I've really had to crack my spine open to get this to lay super flat. But we're going to hope that it does the trick. For those of you who ask, this is a silicone cutting mat. I purchased these 2 for $1 at my local Dollar Tree. There's something stuck to mine. And basically what I do with them is I put them in my book, so I have a little bit of edge overlapping. Then I close the book up, and I'll take a pair of scissors and cut it, just so it's long enough for the book. And then I take a piece of washi tape and wrap it around the edge because it can get a little bit sharp on the edges where you've cut it. So then I can just tuck that in the little thing and use it kind of like one of the Japanese writing boards, except much cheaper, and I don't have to waste paper or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom this in a little bit. I'm going to start at the top left corner because I am right-handed. So as I do my background, I want to be able to move this way. So I'm going to take my Seashell Pink, and I'm just going to start very lightly adding in the color. Now this is going to probably take several layers to get it to look nice and smooth. So don't worry if you can see pencil lines at first. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to hold my pencil a little differently. And we'll just do it this way. So I'm going in circles. Just trying to get that color down, and I know that you guys probably can't see it very well. It's a very light color. Actually, that's not working out very well, so let's just go back to doing it this way. And because of the way this book lays, it's going to be really hard for me to get all the way to the edge and make the color even. I'm really trying to color right down inside that. Now some of you saw when I did the background on the double page spread in Ivy and the Inky Butterfly, I used a color very similar to this one called Putty Beige. Basically what I did with that is kind of what I'm doing right now. I just laid the color down first in a light layer, Then I went in with my shadow color, and then I just went over it with one really heavy-handed layer. And surprisingly, the Prismacolors will allow you to blend them out fairly well, especially on this smoother paper. You won't get streaks and things like that. You may have to wipe off some of the wax bloom later if you get real heavy-handed with them, but that's not a big deal. We talked about that in another video not too long ago. I'll move this up. Hoping that you guys aren't getting too much glare and shadow. I may need to turn this other lamp off. Let's see if that helps. Yeah, now we're just gonna hope it isn't too dark. Or, let's try this. Sorry about this, guys. I'm trying to fix this all up here for you so you can, so it's nice and bright and you can see what's happening. How's this? Now we still got some shadow. Yeah, that's not helping either. I think it's just making it worse. Yep, we'll just stick with the one lamp, guys. Sorry about that. I don't know why there's so much shadow today. There usually isn't. It's a nasty gray day outside today. It's been raining here for 2 days. And I know just north of us, two or 3 hours north of where I am, they're getting snow instead. So as much as I think snow is pretty, I'm glad it's not snowing here. No offense to those of you who live in the Midwest and who really do know how to drive in the snow when it happens, but I'm sure that a lot of you will agree that there are plenty of people who just don't. And so when I have to get out and drive in the snow and ice and things like that, I'm always terrified of other people. They think they can just continue to drive as they always would, and then they end up sliding into you, and it's terrifying. I'll move this down. So like I said, with this first layer, it's not going to make a whole lot of difference, guys, if you can see your pencil strokes. We're going to go over this a lot heavier. Again, every time I do something, I always start with a light layer just to make sure that I like the way the colors are placed. And that's all. So I hope everybody's having a wonderful Christmas so far. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, I hope you're having a wonderful day otherwise. It is actually Saturday right now that I'm recording this because as far as I know, I will be busy most of the day Sunday and Monday. I'll be busy with the exception of the live stream on Sunday. As of right now, I have plans to be here to do that live stream, so as long as nothing crazy happens between now and then, that's definitely a go. So for those of you who are going to be home on Christmas Eve and who want to participate, well, I guess that will have already passed by the time this video gets published, won't it? So I hope that those of you who did attend the live stream at this point enjoy it. Wow, trying to record videos ahead of time is difficult, let me tell you. Okay. I think I'm gonna really like the way this color looks for the wall. Kind of a pinky peachish beige color. Okay, so now that we have on this section of the wall, we have the seashell pink down. So now it's time to kind of take a look and see where our light sources are going to come from. So we have the only light sources I can see are going to be coming out of these windows, we'll probably make it daytime because you can see the clouds. So we'll just go ahead and assume that this is going to be daylight outside. So we'll have light coming in this way, so it'll be coming out through the windows this way. So we're going to have some shadow like back on this side of the life preserver that I need to color inside the center of. And then if the light's flooding in this way, we should also have a little bit of shadow, probably back behind this clock, because the light would fill the room, which would mean there would be some shadow back here. Then we have another light source, and the only other one in the room is going to be this one. So we'll need to take this into consideration when we color all of this area. And now I'm not going to go to the trouble of putting like a huge glow all around everything. We will make the inside of the lantern glow, and we may put like a tiny smidge of glow on the desk and here on the chair, but I'm not going to go crazy and make it like a great big thing. We'll keep it subtle. So now for the shadow, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Beige Sienna, which is just it's kind of in the same family as the Seashell Pink. And I'm just going to go in and add the shadow. Let me bring this down here where you guys can see it. Go ahead and add the shadow back behind the clock first. I hope that you guys can see this. Let me see if I can zoom it in a little better where you guys can get a better view. So basically what we want is we want a little heavier line right beside the clock, like this. And we want to fade it out onto the wall, just like that. And the same thing with the little life preserver. Let's see, this should be shadowed just a little bit right here in this area. Just a little. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then we'll definitely want some shadow back here. This isn't one of those pictures where I've chosen the complete color scheme. I figured that, you know, we did that with our first color along. So this time I'm just going to kind of choose colors as I go. I do have the colors for the main portion, like I said, of the background picked. So we are going to use those. So now that's got its shadow. And don't worry, like right here where it looks a little streaky, we're going to come back in with that Seashell Pink and we're going to go in with a hard layer of it. So when we go over this, it'll blend it out. This isn't really going to have a whole lot of shadow, basically, because of the way that it's laying there. So we may have like right here, we might have a little bit of shadow. And then like right along these edges where these little, where it's like hung up on the wall. And that's pretty much it. We're not really going to have a tremendous amount of shadow because of the way that the light source is coming in this way. Yeah, I think that looks good. So now at this point what we're going to do is start, I'm going to actually, well, let's actually go back up to the top. Sorry I'm moving so much. I'm trying to keep it to where you guys can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to make this shadow just a little bit darker before I go back in. And I may have to even come back with another layer of this Beige Sienna, because the heavy layer of the Seashell may actually cover most of it up. So at this point what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a heavier pressure, and I'm just going to start adding in the color. And this is where those of you guys who have like arthritis or whatnot in your hands and you have a hard time using a heavy pressure, you guys can always just do multiple layers. You don't have to do what I'm doing. Multiple layers will help you get the same look. This with the Prismacolors, because the Prismacolors will allow you to do this, which is the only reason why I'm doing it. You can get away with it. And you can't get away with it with a harder pencil. You'll see streaks everywhere. The trick to this, when you're doing a single color background like this, and you're using a heavy pressure to do it, the trick to it is to try to be consistent with your pressure. Everywhere you go, try to be consistent. So like if you notice a spot where it looks like maybe you didn't press as hard, just go back over it. And for me, when I color like this, when I'm using a heavy pressure, sometimes I do have to stop every few minutes and take a break and rest my hand. Because it'll make your muscles, like right here in your arm, it'll make your muscles get tired after a while, unless that's how you color and you're used to it. I'm a light layerer unless I'm doing backgrounds like this, so I can feel it after a little bit. It starts getting on me. At least it's a forearm workout though. So you can tell everybody you got your exercise today. Okay, now see what I mean about the shadows? What I'm going to have to do is come back in with this Beige Sienna and just go over it. Because you can't really see it anymore. Just like this. So I'm just going to go back in and add that shadow. And we want the shadow to be kind of subtle. We don't want it to be crazy dark, because then it's really going to stand out and it's not going to look right. So we do want to keep our shadow kind of subtle, just like this. And so the same thing here. We'll go ahead and do this little area so you can see what I'm talking about. We'll go ahead and fill that in with the Seashell pink. And then I'm going to come back in with the Beige Sienna. And I'm going to have to use a heavy pressure to get over that pink. And just put the shadow right back in, just like that. And again, I'm just going back to make sure that my pressure is even all over the whole wall. And when you're doing it like this, and you guys don't have to do what I do, but when you're doing it like this and you're using Prismacolor, I want you to look at my pencil tip right now. See that? See how flat it is? I don't sharpen until I have to. When I'm coloring like this, when I'm going in, you know, with full pressure and go ahead and getting that color down, there's no need to sharpen it. You just keep going until you absolutely have to sharpen. And you get better coverage that way. And this only works, again guys, as far as I know, and from my experience, this only really works with the Prismacolor. So for those of you who saw my double page spread in Ivy and the Inky Butterfly and asked me about how I did the background, this is how I did it. One solid layer of the putty beige. Except in this case we're using Seashell pink. Okay. Make sure. And it also helps me if I look at it in the camera as well. So, 'cause believe it or not, sometimes looking at it that way for me helps me see things I don't see when I'm just looking at the paper. Alright, I'm gonna need to sharpen some now. I'm gonna take my trusty to-go, which has become my favorite sharpener. Just a few twists and you have a sharp point again. And for me, it feels like I get more use out of my pencil when I use this sharpener. Because the point is so blunt, it feels like it's not taking off so much of the core of the pencil. So it's making me feel like my pencils are lasting longer. I'm using more of the core instead of sharpening it away, if that makes any sense at all. Brush all that away. I need to find my, here it is. Here's my brush. So we are almost done with this side of the wall. And I've noticed something with my camera. I use my phone as my camera, and I probably shouldn't. I probably should get a digital camera, which is something that's on my list of things to buy for the channel. But my camera will stop recording after about 35 minutes and start a new video. And I don't know why. It's almost like there's some kind of setting in it that once the video reaches a certain size or length, it automatically goes and starts a new one. I can't figure out what that setting is to change it. So what I'll probably do is take a purposeful break every half an hour or so, and we'll just do it in clips, and then I'll put all the clips together at the end. Okay, so there's that. Now I need to come back and put the shadow back behind the life preserver again. I'm using heavy pressure here, guys, and then just kind of fading it out toward into the seashell. Alright, so let me zoom this out so you guys can see what it looks like. Now see how nice that looks? And we didn't have to use 7,000 layers to get it that way. Now if you wanted like more dimension of color, more depth of color, then you absolutely would want to go in with lighter layers and add one color after the other. So like let's say that you wanted a gradient and you wanted to start with the darker color and you wanted to end with a lighter color. You could start with a heavy pressure up here and then gradually make it lighter as you get down to the center, and then you want to start with a heavy pressure down here and gradually make it lighter as you get up here, because you're going to blend these two colors together. But because we're doing all one color for the whole wall, we don't have to do that, so that makes it easy for us. So I'm at 21 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and take a break right here at this point, and then we'll come back and consider how our light source is going to affect this back wall, and we'll go ahead and finish coloring it as well. I'll be back with you shortly. Alright, I have taken the break I needed to take so we could let my camera do its little thing with clips since it seems to be picky. And I am now back to take a look at the rest of this background. Now, I'm trying to figure something out here. It looks like we have this that's like dangling. So this comes up and goes around, and I don't know where it goes, and I don't know where what it is. This looks like just the edge of the wall here. So this looks like the edge of this wall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our darker color, the one that we used for shadow. I'm going to fill this part from here, from the center line, over toward this wall. We're going to do all of this in the darker shadow color. And again, I'm just going to use heavy pressure. One layer, single layer. And this is just going to be our like dividing line. And it's going to make it look a little bit more three-dimensional. Remember, guys, we don't need to spend a whole lot of time being really fancy schmancy with the background. We just want to get the color in there, because the background isn't the main focus of the page. I don't know what I want the main focus of the page to be yet. So we are truly going to be figuring this out as we go. So as you guys are watching this, if you have any suggestions that you'd like to make as far as what colors you want to make things, feel free to point them out. We're not starting this out with a color palette, and we're doing that for a reason. So this I'm just going to assume is like a pull cord for something, because whatever it is. Oh no, that's the poster of the bed. Duh, Erin. Okay, so look. This here, and it's just the way it's drawn that makes it look like it's dangling from a cord. So this also is like the corner of the wall. Oh my gosh, guys. I should have had more coffee today. Got way too many things going on. I'm so happy I took a mental health day today, and I'm so happy that I'm getting to spend today coloring with you all. I've had several people ask me to do, to show off my coloring book collection. So once we get this done, the first episode of our color along, I very well may do that, because like you said, I don't have much else to do today, so we can do that. Now, as for the rest of this wall, it's going to be the seashell pink too. And because we have the light coming forward this way, we don't really need to worry about shadows and such back here, honestly, because there aren't going to be that many. We may have like a shadow down here on the floor, kind of like up tucked underneath the bed. We're going to have some shadow down underneath the desk, of course, but we're not going to worry about that right now. The only place on the rest of the wall that I'm really concerned about making sure that I color correctly is going to be around this lantern. And like I said, I'm not going to go nuts with trying to make some huge glow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Seashell pink and I'm just going to kind of sketch a circle. Just like this. And I'm going to remember to color a little more lightly inside that circle. And I know that you guys are probably not going to be able to see that, if at all. But take my word for it. I took my Seashell pink and I sketched myself a little circle. It doesn't have to be perfect, guys. And inside the circle, I'm just going to put a light layer of the pink. And I'm going to come back over it with a yellow when I do the glow of the lantern. So this is just going to stay nice and light. And that's really it. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're just going to go in and we're going to do our one heavy layer. That's it. That's all we're going to do. And you guys are going to find that you may need to go ahead right now and reorder your Seashell pink, because you're going to go through a lot of pencil this way. If you don't want to do it like this, you don't have to. You can use light layers only and preserve your pencil. I understand that for a lot of you, getting open stock pencils is not as easy as it is for some other people. So if that is the case for you, don't feel like you have to go all hog wild and super heavy layers and use half your pencil. It's not a problem for me to go and grab an open stock pencil. I understand that it is for some of you guys. So I don't want you to feel like you have to do it this way, because I am. And I know that some of you are probably thinking, but I don't want to use my pencil that much. And I understand 100%. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn my book and I'm going to go along the top. This is one of the reasons I think that Prismacolor remains one of my favorite pencils, is that you can legit get away with doing things like this. The one heavy layer of color, and it won't look bad. If you try to do this with a polychromos or probably even with a luminance, it's going to look kind of streaky. And I know that there are probably some people out there like, oh my gosh, what is she doing? The Queen of Layers is telling us not to use layers. It's just not necessary. So while I'm doing this, and I'm just going to color now, you guys know what I'm doing. If I do something other than just color what I'm doing, I'll stop and explain. But I do want to tell you something that happened to me today. Today is Saturday. My boyfriend has to work today. It's his last day of work until after Christmas. And I wanted to keep the car, so I took him to work, and I went to a gas station that I go to frequently while I am in Owensboro. And one of the ladies that works in there, I really, really like her. We have a conversation. I don't know her. I don't even know her name. But she's really quirky and fun and sweet. She always has her hair dyed all different colors, and she's just so fun. So anyway, I was in there and I decided to go to the cappuccino machine and get myself a hot chocolate because it's cold and rainy and gross, and I felt like a hot chocolate would cheer me up. So I was standing across the gas station talking to her about the weather, and she's like, oh, I'm so glad all this rain isn't ice. And I said something along the lines of, I don't think it's going to get cold enough to where we have to worry about any snow or ice for the next couple days. And as I was saying this, a gentleman walked in and kind of joined in on our conversation. And so we had kind of a laugh about how he was traveling north and was probably going to run into all the snow and the mess and whatnot. So we all had a good laugh about it, and he finally walked up to the counter to pay for everything that he had. And he bought my cappuccino for me. I've seen stories of people doing this, just buying some random person's drink or, you know, food at the drive-thru at the fast food place or whatever, but nobody's ever done it for me before. So I was really, really, really happy about that. It just made my day. So I have been in the best mood all day since that happened. And I just thought it was really sweet. I think it's really sweet that there are still people in the world who think of others enough to do even the smallest thing. And I think it's really fun how something so small and trivial like a $1.50 cup of cappuccino can really turn your day around. Especially when it's coming from a perfect stranger who has, you know, no motive at all. He just wants to be nice. So, with that being said, I now have to pay it forward because I'm just that way. So, I was supposed to have mailed a package to somebody, but I didn't get around to doing it. So now it's not going to go in the mail until Tuesday, and I'm feeling really guilty about it anyway, as it is. So I think what I'll do is I will, I don't know. I was thinking about buying, like, the person behind me in line at the post office a book of stamps or something, but that, I don't know, that kind of seems silly. Like, what if that person doesn't need a book of stamps? You know what I mean? Or maybe I should just go to, like, McDonald's and say, hey, the next couple people who order a cup of coffee, here's the money for it. Just tell them it was paid for by a good Samaritan. See, I don't even know how to do this. I don't even know how... Excuse me. So as you guys can tell, I'm kind of working left to right from the top down so that I'm not constantly getting my hand in it, because it will smear and smudge. The paper in this book is really nice though, because, like, as you guys can see, I'm getting some of this dust, but it's easy enough to just brush away. And then once the color is on there, it doesn't smear as easily on this paper as it does others. So that's always nice. And I just take my soft bristled brush and knock it away. And this is a lot better than using your hand, because the oils in your hand and the heat from your hand can, like, melt those little particles and smush them in your page. So the paintbrush is always the better option. I bought a 3 set of paintbrushes, a 1 inch, a 2 inch, and a 3 inch. They are soft nylon bristles. And I bought mine at Hobby Lobby about a month ago, probably now. They were having a sale where you got either 30% or 40% off of all the paintbrush sets priced $5.99 and higher. So they were originally $7.99 for the set of 3, and I got them for, I don't know, probably something like $5. And they're very handy. Very, very handy. As a matter of fact, guys, I'm going to have to check the next time that I stop the video to do a segment and see if I even have a replacement seashell pink. If not, I may have to go get one. I have a 72 set put aside as spares for my 150, but I don't know if this is one of the colors in that set or not. I'll have to look and see. I know it seems like I'm sharpening a lot, and I am, but I want you guys to keep in mind that with the Prismacolors, I use the Tegal sharpener, and I use it on the 1 setting, and I'll show you here in a minute, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, why. See how short that point is? Let me see if I have, I don't even know if I have a pencil sharpened regularly anymore. I don't think I do. I want to show you guys a comparison. We'll look inside this box. These are pre-show. Oh, no, that one's not even open yet. Look inside this box. Alright, so this is like This is probably what you would get like if you use the 4 setting on the Tagal sharpener, is a point like this. This is probably 3 or 4. And then this is the 1 on that sharpener. So it's almost like those little golf pencils, the tip that you're getting. And I found that when you sharpen them like this, they do not break nearly as much as they do if you get the long point on them. Yes, you are going to have to sharpen them more, but at the end of the day, because they're not breaking as much, it's worth it. It's worth that extra bit of work to me to just keep sharpening a little more often. So with my sharp point, now that I have it, I'm going to get in these little tight spaces. Oh, I wasn't supposed to color that, was I? Oh boy. That was my little circle. That's okay. We'll just take it away. You guys didn't even see that happen. Ha ha! Oh, goodness gracious. I colored right here pretty dark. You can see the difference, but that's okay. It'll be fine by the time we get finished with it. Trying to stay zoomed in enough for you guys to see, but the thing is that my desk space is really limited, so I have to keep moving the book, and the way that my camera is mounted, I can't just move the camera. If I put the camera anywhere else, then I won't be able to zoom in close enough for you to see exactly what I'm doing. So after this, I know a lot of you guys are probably going to be like really excited about this whole Prismacolor background thing, because it really is this easy. And I know that a few of you guys are probably going to cringe when I say this, but you can always use your Prismacolors for backgrounds. Even if you plan to do your picture in something completely different, if you're going to do your picture in polychromos or, you know, Crayola or whatever, you can always get your Prismacolors out and do your backgrounds this way, if the paper is relatively smooth. It doesn't work this well on a toothier paper. It's far more difficult for you to keep your pressure consistent. Okay, so what I want to do now is, because I'm getting close to this circle, I want to kind of fade the color into it. So here's how I'm going to do that. This is where we're going to have to dig back into our box of Prismacolor tools that we learned in the Prismacolor for Beginners series. And we're going to have to start lightening our pressure as we get closer to that lamp. You guys are going to hear the siren going off. It is noon on Saturday. So every Friday and Saturday in my little town, you hear the weather siren, the tornado warning siren go off. I am in the Midwest, so we do rely on those, and they test them every weekend. Alright, so see how I kind of faded that into the little circle I drew? Now that's not going to look as smooth as the rest of the background right now, but by the time I come back in like with a yellow and whatnot, it will. Because I'm going to go over it heavy with like a yellow color. So we're going to use really light pressure right here, just to kind of fade it down into the lighter area where the shine's going to be. And then from here on out, I can make my pressure heavier. I don't know why that sounded so loud today. It sounds like my windows are open, but they're not. I guess the wind must be blowing it just right in the right direction today. No, we're not having a tornado. I said in another video too that the town that I live in is so small that it's also the actual fire whistle. We still actually use our civil defense siren as a fire whistle. I don't know if maybe any of you guys live in areas that are small enough to have something like that, but if you've heard the term, you know, like a 4-alarm fire or whatever, that's what they mean. They actually ring an alarm a set number of times to indicate how severe a fire is and how many people are, you know, they're going to need to help fight it. And they actually use that whistle for that purpose. So if you hear that go off anytime other than noon on Friday or Saturday, there's either a tornado or a fire somewhere. Somebody, in one of the older videos, somebody said, I forget what she called it, an air raid siren. And I think that back when they, you can't see what I'm doing, I think that back when they originally put it there, I think that's what it was for, back in the I think it was the 1950s or so. And they have a bomb shelter under the old courthouse, which is, the siren is located on top of the old courthouse, and there's still a bomb shelter down under the courthouse. So I'm pretty confident that's what it was originally put there for. Alright, so we're almost finished. I do need to sharpen one more time because now we've got to get these areas down here around these leaves and down by the bag and whatever. And then there's these two little places down here under the desk that we're going to have to color. So I'm going to go ahead and sharpen one more time. And I think I'm going to have time to finish this up before my camera decides that it's had enough. I'm going to have to get a hold of a techie to help me figure out why it's doing this. I don't remember it ever doing it before. But I switched to where I was recording in full high definition, so 1080 or whatever. And it started doing it then. So I've switched it back to 720. And I'm sorry if the 720 isn't high enough resolution for you guys, but until I get to the bottom of it, we're going to just record in 720. Because if I turn it up to 1080, it'll shut off like every 15 minutes or something. It's crazy. Okay, that's nice. Now we've got, I always miss something when I'm coloring. It never ever fails. I always miss something. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. I think all we have left now are these two spaces down under the desk. And there will be some shadows down here, so I will go in and add those in. As a matter of fact, most of this should be in shadow. So in that case, what I'm going to do is take my darker color, which is the Beige Sienna, and I'm just going to kind of go around the edges of everything like this. And just pull it down. And we're just going to go heavy pressure right over top of the Seashell pink. That looks pretty good. Pretty good indeed. Alright, so the next thing that we're going to have is our baseboard. And I want it to match the wall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Beige Sienna. And I'm going to do, this top rail. I missed a spot down here. I'm going to do this top piece and this bottom piece in the Beige Sienna, and then this whole center I'm just going to do the same color as the wall. Like you said, I'm not going to focus too much on putting a whole lot of detail into it because the background isn't going to be our focus anyway. Of course we want it to look nice, but we don't necessarily need it to look fancy schmancy. I'm going to go ahead and blend this out a little better too, guys. I've just noticed that there's kind of a noticeable line, so I kind of want to get rid of that a little bit. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so we're going to take the Beige Sienna, which is the darker of the two colors, and just heavy pressure down here along this baseboard. Let's see, this is the, I can't tell if that's the rail to the, nope, that's baseboard. One of the trickiest things about some of these books is being able to tell what things actually are sometimes. And once we get over here, I don't know what this thing here is, so I'm going to have to go look it up. Go see if I can't find some examples that people have colored to try to get some inspiration to see what it is. And then I think we have more baseboard, like a tiny sliver here, and then back. Oh, can you guys see? And then right here. To me, that almost looks like a little cat carrier or something. And it looks like there's like a roll of paper sticking out of a bag here, and like this is the handle. So maybe I think that's what this is. There's a bag here, and then this is the handle, and then this thing here is actually what's holding the tree. If you guys don't mind to comment down below and tell me what you think, that would be very helpful. Except the only thing is that there's this little line right here, right, this little line. And the handle doesn't, if that's a handle, it doesn't look like it's on the bag correctly. And if it were a handle, then the baseboard, you'd be able to see the baseboard through it too. So I don't know. I don't know what that is. If anybody has any ideas, put them in the comments, because I'm confused. That's nothing new, guys. It's nothing new. Alright. So now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead and color this. I'm just going to go over the whole area of the baseboard. And basically all I'm trying to do is just show that there's a distinction, that there is a baseboard down here. That's it. I'm not trying to make it fancy or anything. Okay. So for the floor, I wasn't really sure what to do because the walls are like a seashell pink, but I tried to pick pinks that are kind of neutral. So, hold on just a second. Let me grab something, if I can get a hold of it. Let me grab an index card. These are the colors I was thinking about using for the floor. Like, just, this is going to be the main color. And then I thought what we'd do is we'd use this main color for the floor, and then we'd also incorporate it up here into the flowers that are in the curtains. So we'd use it for the floor, for the flowers here on the pillow, for the flowers in the curtains, and for the trim on the curtains as well. And maybe even the chair. So I'm gonna let you guys who are watching this decide, do you like this color for the floor and for the trim? Let me zoom this out, because this is where we're gonna stop this video today. See how nice that looks? And that's all literally one layer of Prismacolor. We just went with one layer of Prismacolor and made that happen. That's pretty cool. I like it. So, okay, so the question is, this color for the floor, and for the flowers, and for the curtain trim, and for the flowers on the pillow. And then I'm thinking that these two look similar, so I thought about maybe doing the stripes or something on here in these colors. So I have, this would be the main color, the rosy beige, and then this would be our shadowy color, which is very similar, and that would be clay rose. So I will let you guys have a think on that and decide whether or not that is something that you like. And just leave your comments downstairs and let me know. Okay, guys, I do want to thank you very much for tuning in for the first episode of our Romantic Country, the Third Tale Color Along. Merry Christmas to each of you again. It is so, so nice to be able to sit and color with you guys, and I know that some of you are really looking forward to it. If you don't get around to it on Christmas, no big deal. And like I said, if you don't want to use these colors, or if you don't want to color it the same way that I colored it, don't. Color it however you like. I'm just showing you guys how I do it as I go along. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up so that more people do get a chance to discover it in their YouTube feeds. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please go ahead and do that, and then this way you can follow along through all of our color alongs, and we're going to do a lot. You can find links to the products that I've used downstairs in the description box. If I can find you a set of brushes like these that are inexpensive, I will link those down there too. So you'll find the Romantic Country book, you'll find the Prismacolor 150 set, you'll find the Tagall sharpener, everything you've seen me use will be down there. Now, I am an Amazon affiliate, so if you order using my links, I do make a few pennies for every order you place, and all that money does get reinvested right back into my channel. Speaking of which, you'll also find links to my wish list and my tip jar down below if you choose to make use of either one of those. And that's all I have for you today. I do just want to say Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today, and I'll be back with another episode in our color along very soon. Thank you. Happy coloring.